Welcome all to another episode of DECIDEthought. I'm your host today, the one and only D-Man. Clearly, if you clicked on this video, you're interested in hearing about our theory on time. How time itself may have multiple dimensions and how this would work with time travel. First, let us be clear, as with any theory about time travel, this is all conjecture and a lot of assumptions have to be made. Do not take what is being said here as true, at least not until a real time traveler comes back to explain it all to us. The theory we have come up with is that if time travel is possible, it can be explained by time itself having multiple dimensions. This may sound like it's in contravention of the currently held concept that space-time is the fourth dimension. However, what we are actually talking about is differentiating the physical dimensions from the conceptual dimensions. Basically, we live in the standard three-dimensional physical existence with a single conceptual dimension of time or space-time. Since most people have at least a basic understanding of what the three physical dimensions are, we'll just look at the conceptual dimensions. But we will take our cues from the physical. We all know that we are moving forward in time. For most, this implies a monodirectional method of travel in time, zero dimensions. We view this differently. Zero dimensions in time is now. Not now, that's back then, but right now. Now is a single point in time. No matter how far we move forward in time, the old now is unchanging and the current now is just a new point in time. The first dimension of time is our ability to move forward in time. This clearly happens as the now that is not the now that was then. But what about moving back in time? In the physical dimensions, if you move in one direction, you can also move in the opposite of that direction. Well, in our theory, we can view the past in one-dimensional time. You're viewing the past right now as you watch this video. Every recording, whether visual, audible, imagery, or even writing, is an example. So, yeah, we do time travel almost every day. Whenever you watch something on TV or YouTube or anywhere on the internet, you are viewing something that happened in the past. And yes, we do change this past and rewrite history. It's happening right now. It's called video editing, or sometimes censorship, or not allowing certain historical events to be known properly. So it's sad. Well, this means that in one-dimensional time, we can't physically go backwards. Two-dimensional time would allow for that. Unlike in the physical dimensions, two-dimensional time would be offset from layer to layer. What this means is that in two-dimensional time, we now go up and down time rather than just forward. But going down in time will send us to a timeline which appears to be our future, while going up in time will send us to what we consider to be the past. Thus, we will be able to interact and even change the past, but we won't be changing our timeline. And when we will return to our original timeline. John previously did an episode on time travel in the Dragon Ball TV series, and when Future Trunks time travels, this is what happens. He goes up to the past, changes it, but when he returns, he goes down to his present. Okay, so with this, we will now have the ability to visit the past and change a specific timeline that shares our time plane. But what about going to a time within alternate history, like they did in the television show Sliders? Well, to go to another plane of time in the same present, you would need to move along a three-dimensional time plane. This would mean traveling between time planes, with each time plane having its own unique history. You could go on a time plane where Germany never rose to power, or where the Roman Empire never fell, or where the dominant species evolved from rhinos instead of apes. Using this method of viewing time as having multiple dimensions means that the multiverse theory would start at 6 dimensions, rather than how most multiverse theories think 4 or 5 dimensions. Granted, those theories which think 4 or 5 dimensions is where the multiverse begins could still be right if they are talking only about the physical dimensions. Which brings up the question of what the 4th dimension in time will be. Can we conceptualize a 4th physical dimension and beyond? But trying to conceptualize a dimension of something that is merely a concept itself, well, it's difficult to say the least. If one were to attempt to travel along a 4th time dimension, they would come across some of the same problems as trying to travel along a 4th physical dimension. Simply put, if they travel to the wrong dimensional plane, they might come to an area where left and right, or width, doesn't exist, and humans live in a 3-dimensional world with width. Without width, we simply couldn't exist. This same problem could happen in 4th dimensional time travel. Don't worry, I'll be talking about physical dimensional travel in later episodes. There you have it. We have decided to prove this theory. Time may have multiple dimensions, and we have explained how this possibility could work. Is it true? Is it pure fantasy? Is it a theory worth pursuing? That, my viewers, is up for you to decide.